What's going on YouTube? So Nissan is a brand in the midst of completely reinventing themselves with a ton of new products all being introduced recently. And I'm standing next to one of those such very important new products, the all-new Nissan Pathfinder, designed to go toe-to-toe with all the best three-row competition. But with a new rugged design, a 9-speed automatic transmission, and tons of luxury, is this now one of the best options in the segment? We spent the last 7 days to find out. So starting out here with the exterior of this all-new Pathfinder, you'll notice right off the bat, this really doesn't look anything like the outgoing generation, which was very soft and kind of jelly bean-like. This one here definitely takes a more aggressive and rugged-looking stance, which we've seen applied to a lot of the most recent Nissans as well. So up here in the front, we do have the newest interpretation of the V-Motion grille. It's a lot less of a V now at this point and more of a squared off shape. So you've got the classic black bars through the middle, and then you've got the chrome trim around the outside edge. Down here along the lower fascia, we have kind of a thick black cladding, and then the top two trim levels will also come with this silver scuff plate. And then coming over here to your headlights, these also accentuate the design very nicely. So we have the most modern Nissan look, which is going to include an LED daytime running light coming down through here, standard full LED lights on every single trim level, including the high beams right there, and the only part that's going to be incandescent is your turn signal. And then returning back down here to this lower bumper area, you'll also find the LED fog lamps on the SL and the Platinum. So the next thing to take a look at are your wheels, where you do have several different options. So with the Pathfinder, you're going to start out with 18-inch alloys on your S and your SV trim levels. And then the SL also has an 18-inch alloy. However, you'll notice this SL has a larger wheel. This is a 20-inch alloy. We've got the dark finish, which I think really looks the most rugged out of the bunch for the wheel options. And then finally at the top in Platinum, you got this same looking wheel, but with the contrast. Now moving above that, we do have a dark finished mirror. You've got standard heating and standard blind spot monitoring on every single version. And if you want power folding, that will require the Platinum trim level.
So here at the side of the all-new Pathfinder, you can certainly tell that this looks nothing like the previous generation model. It has a lot more squared off and a more SUV appearance than that previous generation model. What goes into that design is we're going to have these wheel arches and this black molding, which gives it that more rugged look. And you're also probably noticing that we have the two-tone roof option. That's pretty rare for any type of three-row, and that's actually going to be available in 5 different color combinations on the SL as well as the Platinum trim level, and it does also black out your roof rails as well. Now, coming around to the rear, you will notice a few design elements. First of all, you have the wraparound look for your glass, which gives it a nice and cohesive look. And then as far as the rear itself is concerned, I'm very pleased by the way this looks. It has a very modern and sleek design, although it is a little bit more boxy to give it that SUV-like ruggedness that people are looking for. So breaking down the design, we have Pathfinder spelled out across the entire back. We have this black piece that goes in between the taillights, and the taillights themselves are going to be really narrow LED, and they're going to be mostly LED, the accenting as well as the brake light. However, the turn signal and reverse light are still incandescent. Then if we drop down further below that, we're going to have this nice silver piece, and that's going to be on the SL and Platinum trim levels. However, we're still going to be missing out on an exhaust pipe. Now, one area where the Pathfinder might fall a little bit behind the competition is the safety systems, because they're not going to throw in all of them standard on every single trim level. It will be on the vast majority of them though. So standard is going to be forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection, auto high beams, and rear auto braking. And if you go for at least the SV trim, that will throw in the rest of them, which will be your adaptive cruise control as well as lane keeping assist and blind spot monitoring. Well guys, that wraps up the exterior design. As you can tell, I'm a really big fan of the way this new Pathfinder looks. I have to say it's a huge improvement, and I love the paint color of this one. But now let's go ahead and check out the inside, where I know they've thrown a lot of tech and luxury. Before we take it on a spin, before we do all of that, please help us out by hitting that subscribe button down below.
So just like with most Nissan products, they will be including a standard intelligent entry system on every version of this new Pathfinder. And in addition to that, you will have remote start on the SV trim level and above. As you can see, this is the brand's typical key fob, and we do have the updated logo at the top. But there is one important difference for this new Pathfinder, and that's the fact that we actually have sensors behind the door handle. So I believe that is the first for Nissan. Alright, and take a look at this brand new cabin. As you can see right off the bat, it makes a strong first impression. Really like how luxurious it looks. I also like kind of the square and more rugged theme, which matches nicely with the exterior. Let's go ahead and talk about your different interior color and material options, because you have quite a few. So your S and your SV trim levels, those will come standard with cloth seating. The SL trim level, which is what we have today, is standard with real leather seating. And then if you go up to the fully loaded platinum trim level, that's where you'll get the really nice quilted semi-aniline leather. And that has special color options. So you have charcoal and light gray for the other trim levels, and then that one gets a extra chestnut color option. Now turning over here to your door trim, it is very nicely finished. Nissan has covered pretty much the entire door trim with leather, so all through here, as well as the top part with the light colored leather and the color contrast stitching detail. Right here is where you would find your memory seating for the platinum only. As far as your windows, they're going to be one-touch auto up and down for all four. With the upper end trim levels, you do get the extra silver accenting through here for this handle, and we also have this kind of tire tread pattern on the door trim here, and you'll see that repeated throughout the rest of the interior, just as a reminder that this has a lot more off-road capability than the previous generation. Taking a look next at our seats, these are going to be 10-way power adjusting with 2-way lumbar support, all but the base model. And like I was already mentioning, we do have the real leather seats with the SL trim level. I really like the design of these seats. There's a lot of different textures going on, so as you can see, the bolster actually has a different graining than the leather in the middle. We have some cloth inserts that go down the side, color contrast stitching. Really looks nice, and it is also very soft and comfortable to set in, which is, you know, typical to the Nissan brand. And once you're fully inside the cabin, you will see that the high quality feel and premium vibe is more than just visual. So across our upper dash, we do have a soft touch plastic that goes across it. We do have a leather material that runs all through the center area with the color contrast stitching detail. Comes through here as well, and along the center tunnel for your knee to rest against. We do have some piano black accents through here, and everything in here just fits together extremely well. I don't notice any panel gaps whatsoever, and it feels very solid. Now to start up every version of this new Pathfinder, put your foot on the brake and press the standard button. And as we start it up, you will see a very familiar sight for the Nissan brand. This is their signature and typical gauge cluster arrangement. This is what you're going to get on the majority of Pathfinders up to this SL trim level. However, if you go for the platinum trim level, that's going to get you their brand new full digital gauge cluster, which has, you know, all the cool tricks with changing design and stuff like this. That being said, however, this still does have a nice and large 7-inch multi-function display, and you can scroll through all that typical expected information right through there. Now, in addition to that, if you choose the platinum with that larger display, you're also going to get a head-up display. But pulling back here to the steering wheel, all the Pathfinders will get the brand new Nissan steering wheel. As you can see, nicely leather wrapped, does have a flat bottom design as well. And if you choose the platinum grade, it is also going to be power adjusting. All the others will be manual adjusting, and then both the SL and the platinum will have heating. But let's go ahead and jump next into interior storage, because this is an area where this Pathfinder is frankly killing it. So turning over here to our center console, that's where we're going to start. When you open that up, you're going to notice a ton of space, very nicely sized, does have a felt lining at the bottom. And this is going to be more than enough to take care of our large stack of coupons. As you can see, plenty of space to fit in there. We don't even have to fold them in half. But there's still a lot more storage inside this cabin. So we've got our 2 cup holders up here. We've got our little storage area right there, and then in the front you've got a large bin. This has the optional wireless phone charging pad on this SL. We also have our traditional connections above that. Then you'll notice we actually have a full center pass-through, so we can stick large items here like a purse or some groceries or something like that right in that area. And we even have a storage shelf right there with, again, that tire tread format and the Pathfinder branding. So this is certainly one of the biggest options in the entire class as far as just having places to stick items inside of the front of this cabin. Now, some of that does have to do with the fact that we have an electronic shifter. So this is going to save some space. This is just like what you saw in the Rogue. So you just press down on the side, you pull back for drive. You can shift manually with the paddle shifters that are mounted up here on the steering wheel. Head into reverse, just push up to the R. And when you do, you will be greeted with either a standard backup camera or this 360-degree camera option. This is going to be included on the SL and the Platinum trim level. As you can see, you got your traditional view with active trajectory, your 360-degree view, and then you can press the camera button to cycle through some other views like the side view, as well as the traditional view, and of course you do have moving object detection as well. Then for park, you're just going to press the P right there on the top. Every Pathfinder will come with the electronic parking brake and brake hold function right behind it. Let's go ahead and rise on up here to our climate control panel next. So this is a standard 3-zone automatic climate control setup. Very easy to use. We just have these two large knobs right here to adjust your temperatures. You can make adjustments to the rear climate control right here as well, though they do have their own controls in the back. And then right off to the side of that, all but the very base Pathfinder will come with 3-stage heated seats, though if you want 3-stage ventilation, that's going to require going up to the fully loaded Platinum. Alright, and now that takes us to our audio system. So standard on the Platinum and optional on the SL is going to be the Bose 13 speaker premium surround sound system. That's what we have since we have the premium package, and we'll go ahead and give that a sample right now. Yeah, so overall sound quality is certainly very good. It has strong sound, really fills up the cabin nicely, and we've enjoyed using it for the past week. Okay, so now we are up here at our display. So I'll click into the menu there and give you guys that full view. So there's going to be two different displays offered on the Pathfinder. So you got a standard 8-inch display on your lower two trims, and then your upper two trim levels will come with this 9-inch display. Both of those are going to be running the latest Nissan Connect software. And as far as your features, so you're going to have standard Android Auto and standard Apple CarPlay, as you pretty much expect these days. But if you get the larger display, this 9-inch one, that's also going to give you wireless Apple CarPlay abilities. Furthermore, if you don't really like using either of those systems, we do have a built-in navigation system with the SL and the Platinum trim levels. Now jumping above that, all but the very base model will come with this auto-dimming mirror and the 3 HomeLink universal remotes. You have a sunglass holder, and then up here at the very top, you'll see we have the panoramic sunroof. This is going to be included as standard equipment on the Platinum trim level, and it's available in the premium packages for both the SV and the SL.
Alright guys, well, join me here in the rear seat of the all-new Pathfinder. Now, of course, with a family 3-row like this, you have, a huge priority on making this very comfortable and spacious. So let's talk about the space first. We have 36 inches of rear legroom, 38 inches of rear headroom, which does put it at the very low end of the segment. However, I feel like most of that is certainly just a measurement difference, because behind your seating position I have, I would say, a solid 6 to 7 inches of rear legroom, and my feet can slide up underneath the seat. And you can also slide these captain's chairs forward and back to give more or less space, whichever one you need to have. Now, I do want to mention that as well. We have the captain's chairs optionally on this SL model. They are standard on the Platinum, and the really cool thing about these captain's chairs is that you have this centerpiece right here. This doubles as 2 cup holders as well as another little storage cubby back here. But the really cool thing about it is that you can actually remove this piece entirely. So if you don't want the walk through to get into the 3rd row, you can just remove this and you have that easy access to the 3rd row. Now, as far as the features are, so here in the center, we do have standard climate controls with our own temperature adjustment. You can also get heated rear seats standard on the Platinum. Dropping below that, we have a charging USB port, a USB Type-C. And then on the door trim, we have 2 additional cup holders, and we have our rear window sunshades and our vents up top. But like I mentioned earlier, this Pathfinder is all about family, and of course, with the 3 row, you need to get back here in the 3rd row. So Nissan actually has made this very, very easy. You just push this button, and it electronically lifts it up and folds it out of the way, so you can just slide it right out of the way, and it makes for very, very easy access back here. And as far as the space is concerned, this seat is slid 100% back, so you could certainly scoot it forward a little bit more. And as you can see, I have enough legroom. I don't have an abundance of it, but my feet can slide up underneath the seat. So the actual legroom figures are coming in at 28 inches of legroom, 38 inches of headroom, which puts it right in the middle of the segment. And off to the sides, we do have cup holders on both sides. And if you go for a higher end model, you will have a USB port here on the right side. And you do also have vents. Now walking up to the tailgate, it is going to be power on the SL and Platinum model. It's hands-free on the Platinum, but on this one you just locate the button under the lid and push it to open up. And as far as the space itself is back here, we're going to have 16 cubic feet behind the 3rd row. That expands to 45 cubic feet if you fold them down. Then as a maximum, you have over 80 cubic feet, which really puts this just as large as their big brother Nissan Armada. So this is very practical to fit all of your family in all the other rows, as well as their stuff back here. Now, as far as the finishings, we do have a carpeting along the floor, and if we lift that up, we actually have really large bins across this entire area that you can put additional stuff. And then if we want to fold the 3rd row, they do fold 60-40 split. You're not going to have a power folding 3rd row as an option though, like you would on something like a Hyundai Palisade. Now over here in your passenger seat, you do have the power adjustment since this is a higher end model, and we even have the nice piano black buttons. Then if we open up the glove box, this is a good sized glove box. It is nicely dampened. It's also very squared off, so it fits in our coupons perfectly fine. It almost seems like it's made to throw those in there. So I'm very happy with that. And then you also have this storage cubby above that maybe you could put out the individual coupons in here. And then up top, we have a sun visor with a mirror. We also have lighting, and we can also detach the sun visor and extend it.
And there we are at 60 miles per hour. So acceleration for this new Pathfinder feels pretty strong. We do actually have a carryover engine from the outgoing generation, so it's going to be Nissan's venerable 3.5 liter VQ V6 engine, and it's making 284 horsepower, 259 pound-feet of torque. That kind of positions it right in the middle of the competition, so pretty much the same as all the main stuff that you'll be cross-shopping it with, like the Pilot and the Highlander, Palisade, stuff like that.
Yeah, and one of the things about this engine is how smooth it is, and that's of course a really big part of any type of family 3-row is having that really smooth characteristic to it. And pay attention as we take off here just how refined it feels, even under hard acceleration.
Yeah, even though this is an older motor, it still does a really good job. Like you said, not really much vibration or harshness enters into the cabin, and it does have that signature kind of growl that the VQ is known for, which I do appreciate. But let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Oh yeah.
We have a transmission, a standard automatic transmission.
Yeah.
I know a lot of you guys really just don't care for the CVT. And, you know, especially in a bigger application like the previous generation Pathfinder, having a CVT is less than ideal for sure.
Oh yeah.
Really killed the performance of this model. But we now have a 9-speed automatic transmission. This is certainly a big improvement from the continuously variable transmission. We found this to be a pretty responsive transmission. You can kind of see, if you put your foot down, you do get more power. This is just in the standard mode we're in right now. This transmission is supplied by ZF, so you may actually recognize this kind of is used in several products from like Chrysler, as well as like the Honda Pilot as a competitor. But this is in the 2nd generation for this application. I do feel that this is more refined than that previous one, which had a few problems with like shift feel and stuff like that. This one here does feel more refined.
Yeah, and it is going to have standard 2-wheel drive, optional 4-wheel drive. And let's go ahead and get that sound sample.
Flash flood warning in about 35.8 miles from current location.
Why does it keep saying that?
We're looking at 53.1. The navigation here is trying to blab and ruin the sound sample, but I got it before. 53.1. It's very quiet in here. You know, and that I just want to talk about plays into the overall comfort going on in this Pathfinder. This is incredibly comfortable. I mean, all of them in this segment are incredibly comfortable. This is certainly at the top end of the segment, though. I would say this feels very comfort focused. There's not a lot of sport going on, but it's super comfortable. The seats are amazing, really quiet. Impressed by this.
Right. And we just a few days ago drove the 2022 Telluride, and I would think compared to that, this actually feels softer sprung, so I think the ride quality of this is a little bit better. And then that one, the handling is a little tighter, so it's your trade-off there. But this is no slob either as well. They've done a pretty good job with controlling this. You know, being a larger vehicle, you don't have too much body roll as you go around corners. I also like what they've done with the steering compared to the outgoing generation, which was completely devoid of all feel. I mean, you just couldn't tell anything. This one here, as you can see, is very nice and responsive. Just a little bit of a turn gets you an immediate reaction, so you can feel confident going down a road, even a small one like this one.
And as far as your fuel economy is concerned, the 2-wheel drive model is going to be coming in at 21, 26, 23. 4-wheel drive is, believe this or not, actually going to come in 1 mile per gallon higher on the highway. It's not a typo here. It's going to be coming in still at 23 combined, but 1 mile a gallon combined better on the highway. So I guess another reason to get 4-wheel drive instead of the 2-wheel drive.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I want to go ahead and start talking about our airball and our slam dunk. So I'm going to start off with the airball for today. We don't have anything big to complain about with this new Pathfinder, but I do want to talk about the gauges. This SL is pretty expensive. We'll talk about that in just a second with the pricing. But the gauges are reserved for, the digital gauges are reserved for just the Platinum trim level. I would like for Nissan to bring that down to some of the lower models, like the new Jeep Grand Cherokee L we were in recently. That had it on all of the models. So I would definitely appreciate to see this on some lower trims as well.
And as far as our slam dunk, we found it very difficult to kind of pinpoint one of these as well, because there's just so much that's improved. So what I'm going to say today is I'm just going to say just the overall package and how much they've improved the Pathfinder. This is really what they needed to do for the Pathfinder. Is getting old, and they really have just improved it in literally every way, and it now has become very much in the top end of the segment as far as that is concerned. So I'm excited to see that Nissan really stepped up their game and brought a very competitive product to the table. And let's go ahead and talk about the price that Drew kind of alluded to earlier. This is the SL with all the options on it. So with the destination of $1150, this one comes in at $45,795. And the S is going to start at $33,400, and you go all the way up to the Platinum, which has a starting price of $46,190.
Of course, the real transmission has really been getting a lot of press since this new Pathfinder came out, but this model is about so much more than not having a CVT. Nissan has really done an excellent job with this. This is just an all-around improvement and an all-around very competitive product. You have a lot of space. They've done a great job with the exterior, a lot of interior space, amenities, technology. I mean, it all just comes together to make a very appealing product, and definitely something that you should check out if you're in the market for a 3-row.
Well guys, thanks for tuning in to this in-depth review of the 2022 Nissan Pathfinder SL. If you enjoyed watching this or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, please be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. It's completely free to you, and all you're going to do is get notifications on our most recent content, and you won't want to miss out because we will have tons of content on this all-new Pathfinder as well as its competitors. So be sure to do that, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.
So the next thing to take a look at are your wheels, where you do have okay.